Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Today, inshallah, we're going to solve Cambridge exam May-June 2023, paper 42. Let's start it. Question 1. A list of oxide A to H is shown. Answer the following questions about this oxide using these letters. Each letter may be used once, more than once, or not used at all. First one, oxide responsible for acid rain. We have sulfur dioxide. Because it's acidic oxide, it will dissolve in the rainwater to give acid. So the answer will be D. Which oxide has a giant covalent structure? Giant covalent or macromolecular structure. Here we have silicon dioxide. The answer will be C. Which oxide is a reducing agent in the blast furnace? In the blast furnace, a reducing agent is carbon monoxide, so the answer will be H, where the iron 3 oxide is reduced by carbon monoxide to form iron and, of course, carbon dioxide. Here is the equation for the reduction of iron 3 oxide in the blast furnace, and the reducing agent is carbon monoxide. Which oxide is the main constituent of bauxite? Bauxite is the ore of aluminium. The main constituent is aluminium oxide. So here the answer will be B, aluminium oxide. Which oxide is the main impurity in the iron ore? The main impurity in hematite is silicon dioxide. So again the answer will be C. Silicon dioxide is the main impurity, where it is removed by reaction with lime or calcium oxide to form calcium silicate, which is the slag. The slag layer is the impurities formed on the top of the iron. So the answer will be C. Which oxide can be reduced by heating with copper? Oxide, which can be reduced by heating with copper. Here we have silver oxide. Silver oxide, when heated with copper, because copper is more reactive than silver, copper is above silver in the reactivity series, so it can displace silver from its oxide. Here silver will produce displaced, and we will have copper oxide. So silver oxide is reduced to silver by the action of copper, because copper is more reactive than silver. The answer will be G. Question 2. Fluorine, chlorine, bromine are group 7 in the periodic table. State the name given for group 7 elements. Group 7 elements are halogens. Why group 7 have similar chemical properties? Because they have the same number of electrons in their outer shell. Here we have a table to show the color and the physical state at room temperature for some of the group 7 elements. The first one, fluorine, has a pale yellow color and it's a gas at room temperature and pressure. Second one, chlorine, has a pale green or pale yellowish green color, and of course it's also a gas at room temperature. Third one, bromine, has orange brown color and it is a liquid at room temperature. Bromine has two naturally occurring isotopes, bromine 79 and bromine 81. State the term given for 79 number or 81 in this isotope of bromine. These numbers represent the total number of protons and neutrons in the bromine atom, so the 79 or 81 is the nuclear number or the mass number of bromine. Both answers are correct. Mass number or nuclear number. Here we want to complete the table to show number of protons, neutrons, and electrons in one atom of bromine and one ion of bromine. First, we will have one atom of bromine with the mass number 79. It's an atom, so it's a neutral. That means the number of proton equal to the number of electrons. We have 35 protons, so we will of course have 35 electrons. To get the number of neutrons, we will subtract 79 minus 35, so the number of neutrons will be 44. For the second one, here we have bromide ion, so we will have one extra charge, negative charge. That means we have one more electron than protons. So in the bromide ion, we have 35 protons, but the number of electrons will be higher by 1, so number of electrons will be 36 because we have one negative charge. And to get the number of neutrons, we will subtract 81 minus 35, so the number of neutrons will be 46. Table 2.3 shows the relative abundance of two naturally occurring isotopes of bromine. We have isotope with a mass 79 and another bromine isotope with a mass 81. Calculate the relative atomic mass of bromine to one decimal place. To calculate the relative atomic mass, we will multiply the mass of each isotope by its percentage abundance, then we will add them together, divide by 100. So first we will multiply 79 by 55, then 81 by 45, and we will add them together and divide the total by 100 to get the relative atomic mass, which will be 79.9. Chlorine displaces bromine from aqueous potassium bromide, but don't displace fluorine from aqueous sodium fluoride. Write a simple equation for the reaction between chlorine and aqueous potassium bromide. Here, the formula of chlorine, Cl2, potassium bromide, KBr, because chlorine is more reactive than bromine, so it will displace bromine from potassium bromide. Bromine will be displaced, the formula of bromine, Br2, and we will have potassium chloride, KCl. Remember, the equation is for 2 marks, so we have to balance the equation. We will put 2 in front of KCl and another 2 in front of KBr. State why chlorine doesn't displace fluorine from aqueous sodium fluoride, because chlorine is less reactive than fluorine, or we can say fluorine is more reactive than chlorine. Aqueous silver nitrate is a colorless solution containing silver ions. So we have aqueous solution of silver nitrate contain silver ions. Describe what is seen when aqueous silver nitrate is added to aqueous sodium chloride. Aqueous sodium chloride contain chloride ions. So describe what is seen means your observation when the two solutions are mixed. When they are mixed, they will form a precipitate of silver chloride, so the observation will be a white precipitate. Write the ionic equation for the reaction between aqueous silver nitrate and aqueous sodium chloride. We have silver nitrate and sodium chloride, so the ionic equation will be between the ions of silver and chloride ions. We have silver ion with a +1 charge and chloride ion with 1 negative charge to form the white precipitate silver chloride. Here the equation is for 3 marks. 1 mark will be for the charges of the ion, +1 for silver and -1 for chloride ion. The state symbols, which aqueous for the silver ions, aqueous for chloride ions, and solid for silver chloride. And the 3rd mark will be for correct formula of the precipitate silver chloride, AgCl. Question 3. Over 200 million tons of sulfuric acid are manufactured every year. State the name of the process used to manufacture sulfuric acid. Of course, it's contact process. Part of the manufacture of sulfuric acid involve converting sulfur dioxide into sulfur trioxide. Describe 2 methods by which sulfur dioxide is obtained. We can obtain sulfur dioxide by burning sulfur in air, so sulfur react with oxygen to form sulfur dioxide. This is the first method. Second, we can obtain sulfur dioxide by roasting any sulfide ore, like zinc sulfide or zinc blende, in air. So roasting zinc sulfide in air will produce also sulfur dioxide. So sulfur dioxide can be obtained by two methods. The first one, burning sulfur in air, and the second, roasting any sulfide ore like zinc blende or zinc sulfide to obtain sulfur dioxide. The conversion of sulfur dioxide into sulfur trioxide is a reversible reaction which can reach equilibrium. State the two features of equilibrium. The two features of equilibrium are the rate of the forward reaction equal to the rate of the backward reaction at equilibrium, and the concentration of the reactant and the product are constant. State the typical conditions and the name of the catalyst used in the conversion of sulfur dioxide into sulfur trioxide. The temperature, of course, 450 degrees Celsius. The pressure is 200 kilopascal, and the catalyst is vanadium pentaoxide. Complete the table to show the effect, if any, when the following changes are applied to the conversion of sulfur dioxide into sulfur trioxide. Knowing that the forward reaction is exothermic, you have to write only increase, decrease, or no change. The first one, the effect of decreasing temperature on the rate of the forward reaction and on the yield of sulfur trioxide. By decreasing temperature, of course, the kinetic energy of the particle will decrease, the number of frequent collisions will decrease, so the rate of the forward reaction will decrease. But because the forward reaction is exothermic, so at equilibrium, the equilibrium will be shifted toward the right side, so the yield of sulfur trioxide will increase by decreasing temperature. Second, if the pressure increase, of course, the gases will be in a smaller volume, so the gas particles will be close together, number of collisions will increase, and this will increase the rate of reaction. To see the effect on the yield at equilibrium, we will see the number of molecules or number of moles in each side. Here we have 2 plus 1, we have 3 moles, and on the right side we have 2 moles. So by increasing the pressure, the equilibrium will be shifted toward the less number of moles to the right side, so the yield of sulfur trioxide will increase. The last one, if there is no catalyst, of course, the rate of reaction will decrease, but the catalyst has no effect on the yield at equilibrium, so the effect on the concentration of sulfur dioxide, we will write no change. Explain in terms of collision theory why reducing the temperature decrease the rate of reaction. Decreasing the temperature, the kinetic energy of the particles will decrease, and the particles will move slower, and so the frequency of collision between particles will decrease, the number of frequent collisions will decrease, and we will have less number of particles having energy equal to or more than the activation energy, and of course this will decrease the rate of reaction. Sulfuric acid contain sulfate ions, SO4 2-. The oxidation number of oxygen atom in the sulfate ion is -2. Determine the oxidation number of sulfur atoms in the sulfate ion, showing your work. Okay, the oxidation number of oxygen is -2. So we have how many oxygen atoms? We have 4 oxygen atoms, so the total oxidation state will be -2 times 4 will be -8. So the total oxidation of oxygen will be -8. We have the charge on the sulfate ion -2, and for the total oxygen is -8. So that's to mean the sulfur oxidation state of sulfur plus -8 will give you -2. That means the sulfur oxidation state will be +6. This is the oxidation number of sulfur. Question 4. Solid sodium hydroxide is a base which dissolves to form an aqueous solution of sodium hydroxide. State what is meant by the term base. Base is a proton acceptor. State the term given to a base which is dissolved to form aqueous solution. Alkali. The base that is dissolved is alkali, or we can say the alkali is a soluble base. Alkali is an aqueous solution of the base. State the color of thymolphenolene in sodium hydroxide, it's blue color. Complete the word equation for the reaction between sodium hydroxide and ammonium chloride. Sodium hydroxide is a strong base, so it will displace ammonia from ammonium chloride, and we will have sodium chloride as a salt and ammonia and water. This is the word equation for the reaction between sodium hydroxide and ammonium chloride. Some metal oxide react with sodium hydroxide. State the term given to metal oxide which react with a base such as sodium hydroxide. Metal oxides are basic oxides. So when a basic oxide react with a base like sodium hydroxide, it is an amphoteric oxide. Amphoteric oxide is an oxide that can react with acid and bases. So this term is called amphoteric oxide. Name a metal oxide which can react with sodium hydroxide. We have amphoteric oxide like aluminium oxide and also zinc oxide. We can write any of them. Ethanoic acid is a weak acid. Complete the dot and cross diagram to show a molecule of ethanoic acid. Here we have the diagram for ethanoic acid. First, the carbon on the left side. Carbon is in group 4, having 4 electrons in the outer shell. It is bonded to 3 hydrogen and 1 carbon, so it will make 4 single bonds, sharing 1 pair of electrons in each bond. So now this carbon has 8 electrons in the outer shell. The second carbon form 1 single bond with this carbon and 1 single bond with oxygen. So it will form a double bond with the other oxygen. We know the formula of ethanoic acid, CH3COOH. So this oxygen will form another single bond with the hydrogen. And don't forget to draw the lone pair of electrons for each oxygen. Each oxygen has 2 lone pairs. This is the lone pair of the first oxygen. And for the second one also, you have to draw the lone pair. Suggest the pH of the dilute ethanoic acid, because ethanoic acid is a weak acid, so we can write a pH 4 or 5. Complete the simple equation to show the dissociation of ethanoic acid. Ethanoic acid is a weak acid, so the dissociation will be reversible. We have to draw the reversible arrows for the dissociation. We have protons, and the rest will be the negative ion, CH3COO. This is the negative ion, and the proton is the positive ion. Here the equation is for 3 marks. Again, 1 mark will be for the correct formula of the ion, the second mark will be for the correct charges, and the third mark will be for the reversible arrows. Write the ionic equation for the reaction when an acid neutralizes a soluble base. A soluble base means an alkali, so it will have OH ions or hydroxide ions, and the acid will have protons. So we will have the equation between protons and hydroxide ions, and the only product formed here will be water. In a titration, 25 centimeter cube of 0.08 mole per decimeter cube aqueous potassium hydroxide is neutralized by 20 centimeter cube of dilute sulfuric acid. So we have the volume of potassium hydroxide 25, and the concentration is 0.08 mole per decimeter, and we also have the volume of sulfuric acid, which is 20 centimeter cube. First, we want to calculate number of moles of potassium hydroxide, which of course will be the concentration times the volume in decimeter cube. So we will convert the volume into decimeter by dividing by 1000, then multiply the concentration, which is 0.08. The number of moles of potassium hydroxide will be 0.002 moles. Then determine the number of sulfuric acid which react with potassium hydroxide from the ratio of number of moles of sulfuric acid to potassium hydroxide. Sulfuric acid is 1 and potassium hydroxide is 2. So we will divide the number of moles of potassium hydroxide by 2. Number of moles of sulfuric acid will be half the number of moles of potassium hydroxide, and the number of moles would be 0.001 moles of sulfuric acid. Calculate the concentration of sulfuric acid. We have the number of moles, which is 0.01, and we have the volume, which is 20 centimeter cube, so we can calculate the concentration. Number of moles equal to the concentration times the volume in decimeter cube, so the concentration will be 0.05 mole per decimeter cube. Then we want to calculate the concentration of sulfuric acid in gram per decimeter, so we will first calculate the MR of sulfuric acid, which is 98. So the concentration in gram per decimeter will be the concentration in mole per decimeter times MR. So we will multiply 98 by 0.05. The concentration will be 4.9 gram per decimeter cube. Question 5. Propane and propene both react with chlorine. When a molecule of propane, C3H8, reacts with chlorine in the presence of ultraviolet light, one atom of hydrogen is replaced by one atom of chlorine. State the term given to the reaction in which one atom of alkane is replaced by another atom. The name of this reaction is substitution, where one hydrogen is substituted by one chlorine. State the purpose of ultraviolet light in this reaction. Here, the ultraviolet light provides the activation energy needed for this reaction. The term given for any reaction that requires ultraviolet light, it's a photochemical reaction. Write a simple equation for the reaction between propane and chlorine. Here we have the formula of propane, which is C3H8 plus chlorine. One hydrogen atom is replaced by chlorine, so it will be C3H7 and chlorine. The other chlorine atom will join to the hydrogen to form hydrogen chloride. So this is the formula, the simple equation, and the formula of chloropropane. A molecule of propene, here the formula of propene, C3H6, is unsaturated and it will react with chlorine at room temperature. Why propene is unsaturated molecule? Propene is unsaturated because it has one or more carbon-carbon double bond or triple bond. So not all the carbon-carbon bond are single bond. That is the meaning of saturation. We can write propene is unsaturated because not all the carbon-carbon bond are single bond, or we can write it has one carbon-carbon which is double bond. Give the structural formula for the product of this reaction. When propene react with chlorine, the double bond is broken and two chlorine atoms are added. So propene, it has a double bond here. We will remove the double bond and add two chlorine atoms. That means the structural formula will be CH3, CHCl, then CH2Cl. So the structural formula will be CH3, CHCl, CH2Cl. This is the structural formula, and remember that this one is called displayed formula. This one is called structural formula. Propene undergoes addition reaction with steam. There are two possible products, A and B. Draw the displayed formula and the name of each product. Okay, so here we will have propene react with the steam, and the product here will be propanol. It's an alcohol. So we have two products which are isomers to each other according to the position of the OH on the propanol molecule. So first we will put the OH group on carbon number 1. Here we have propane 1-ol, where the OH group on carbon number 1. So the name of the product will be propane 1-ol, and the other isomer will be with OH group on carbon number 2. So the name of the product will be propane 2-ol. So these are the two isomers formed when propene react with steam. Question 6. Carboxylic acid can be converted into ester. Name the ester formed when butanoic acid react with ethanol. The ester will be named after the parent acid, so it will be ethyl butanoate. Identify the other product formed from this reaction when carboxylic acid react with alcohol to form ester. The other product formed is water. The two molecules are joined together by removing one molecule of water. Deduce the empirical formula of the ester formed. Okay, so we will write the formula of the ester, then we will simplify it to get the empirical formula. Here is the formula of the ester formed. This is the ester ethyl butanoate. So to get the molecular formula, we will count the number of carbon. We have 6 carbon atoms, and 3 plus 2, 5, 7 plus 2, 9 plus 3, 12 hydrogen atoms, and 2 oxygen atoms. To write the empirical formula is the simplest whole number ratio from the molecular formula, so we will divide the whole molecule by 2. We will get C3H6O. This is the empirical formula of the ester formed. We will first draw the structure of the displayed formula, or the structural formula, of the ester, and we will calculate how many carbon, how many hydrogen, how many oxygen. Then we will get the simplest whole number ratio to write the empirical formula. BET is a polyester. Part of the structure of the BET is shown. Polyester formed from carboxylic acid and alcohol. Circle one repeated unit of this polymer. So we have polymer formed from 2 monomers. One monomer contains 2 carboxylic acid on the 2 sides of the monomer, and the other monomer is alcohol containing 1 OH group on each side. So the repeated unit will be this part, which contain the 2 monomers. This unit will be repeated along the polymer. The first monomer contain the carboxylic group, 1 from each side, and the second monomer contain the OH group, 1 from each side. So this is the repeated unit. He want to draw the structure of the monomer, so we will have the shaded block contain carboxylic group from each side, and the white block contain hydroxide group, 1 from each side. So these are the 2 monomers, dicarboxylic acid and diol. Remember that you have to shade the box only that contain the dicarboxylic acid, or the monomer that contain the 2 carboxylic groups. State the type of polymerization used to make BET. To make a polyester, the type of polymerization is condensation polymerization. Here we come to the end of our exam. Like the video and subscribe to the channel to receive all the updates. Comment down below if you have any question. Thank you for watching. Wish you all best of luck.